35 episodes, over 750 hours of playtime, a huge valley build under construction, blast furnaces, clean room and circuit automation, applied energistics and storage, LV to IV tier technology, multi-block miners, the tier 1 and 2 rockets. All of this will help us towards today's project. Oh yeah, and of course power generation, which we set up last episode. We used HSSE rotors inside large gas turbines burning benzene, and those feed around 5 IV amps into a battery buffer, which for the moment gives us a power storage of over 400 million EU, and this is what we'll use to power the machines to process all of the ores. Yeah, and admittedly, this is something we should have tackled back in medium voltage. I mean, the mess that we have in the corner here isn't really what you can call ore processing. There is zero automatic filtering over here. And as a result, we have 12 years worth of stuff to get processed. You guys have been making fun of me for this chest setup, and I don't blame you, to be honest. But we are going to fix it. We will fix it. We will have the best ore processing system. But since we've waited so long, we should now be in a position almost to do it properly. Yeah, things are going to get quite complex and expensive. But we will certainly be deep diving into all the mechanics, my thought processes behind the system, all of the things behind the scenes which helped make it work, hopefully make it work. I've been doing some testing in a creative world with all the new gadgets we have in this version of the pack, and I'm really looking forward to doing this, actually using our power setup that we have here. Wait a second, all of that optimism that you have, make sure you channel that for the next, I don't know how many days. Yeah, before we can even start to think about processing down any ores, we need a plan. And we're going to break this down into 3 phases. The first is going to be machine acquisition. We are going to have to craft an electrolyzer, a thermal centrifuge, processing array, chemical baths, simple washers, the centrifuge, and the sifting machine, which technically we actually already have here, and we'll just be moving this one over to the new processing area. Which leads us on to phase 2. Once we have the machines, we need somewhere to actually build ore processing, and it has to be somewhere with room for expansion, access to power, and access to applied energistics. So right now I have my eye set behind this wall here, around this sort of level, and we can go this way pretty much infinitely. That plan may or may not change though by the end of the episode. And finally we have phase 3, filtering. You see, all of the ores have multiple different paths they can take, and there's certain very specific ores like sphalerite and galena, monazite and bastnasite, platinum and nickel ore, and a whole bunch of other things which we have to filter out at specific stages of the process. And as tedious as that sounds, that's the stage I'm looking forward to the most, because that means we have all the machines and we've got it built already. So yeah, with all of that said, we have a lot to get through once again today. Let's dive into phase 1. So machine acquisitions, a lot of these machines will be from GT++, many of which we have not made yet, and that also means we need to get some new materials. So after a pre-departure checklist, I determined the best way to get those would be to go to Deimos. So after a safe landing on Deimos, we picked up the quest. This is a very similar place to Phobos actually, the other moon of Mars. And I immediately started to do some prospecting. We're here for uranium and also tungsten. It took quite a while, but we actually found an ideal tungsten vein next to some nickel, magnetite and tetrahedrite. And this is where we set up the multi-block ore drill. Still quite time consuming. I don't think the schematics would work as some of you guys have suggested. But yeah, we also made use of the Spectre dimension to refill oxygen. This is a really handy thing to have. It means that you don't have to carry around oxygen equipment to every planet that you visit. And as long as you monitor the levels that you have, you can feel pretty safe knowing that you can recharge it at any time. So yeah, once I ensured the ore drill was running, I went out to find some uranium. And we'll need this for the next steps almost immediately. So I decided just to use the trusty hammer and manually mine out pretty much the full vein. There was a little bit we left behind, but we don't need to be super efficient with this. I went back just to make sure the drill was still mining. And we actually left it on Deimos and returned back to our base. We have one more chest to add to our collection. And we start to process down all of the uranium. Okay, here is the thing. I feel like it's very easy to get lost in what we're doing here. So I want you guys to be up to speed on where we're at. And I'm also very curious if you guys know where I'm standing right now. Leave it in the comments below if you know where this is. I'm not going to give any more away than this. You should be able to get it though if you're familiar with the base. Anyway, so to craft all the machines we need, we are going to have to get into GT++. And we can do that with some ilmenite, tin or cassiterite, using our sifting machine. And what we need from this is actually zirconium. I wonder how much. Oh, 42. Yeah, this is actually only a 5% chance from tin, cassiterite, ilmenite or red zircon. Red zircon is actually the best method, but the red zircon is actually a tier 3 material. We currently do not have the tier 3 rocket, but all we have to do with this is actually mix with some carbon, and there's going to be a lot of alloys here coming up, most of which I'm just going to skip over and I'll just make on my own actually, because it's going to be way too tedious. I think this is circuit 12. Yeah, this gives us an alloy called zirconium carbide, and there's a full page in the quest book here for GT++ machines. And pretty much to craft all of them you need a different alloy. Like for example the electrolyzer, we need stellite for this. And stellite, like pretty much all the alloys besides zirconium carbide, is made in the Alloy Blast Smelter. So yeah, we need another EBF. And because this is Gregtech, it does not work in the EBFs we already have. We need a specialized one for the Gregtech++ machines and alloys. Yeah, and that is the first quest in the chapter. The Alloy Blast Smelter looks something like this. It's an imitation blast furnace. I don't know where its permanent location is going to be. I think for today we're just going to set it up in a temporary location. And many of the recipes have to be at least EV. So we're going to craft the first EV energy hatch. We'll need a lot of these for all of the machines basically, so I maybe should have made more than one right now. We'll have to make these up later on. And since we don't have any way to power EV right now, well, that's not technically true. We have batteries, we now have the turbines. What I meant to say was we don't have a single block gas turbine, so what we're going to have to do is hook this up to our main power spine, and we are actually missing a very crucial component for this. Oh yeah, and we can't craft this thing either. Yeah, we need this block right here which needs vanadium gallium, and this is a blast furnace recipe, a regular blast furnace recipe. Okay, this has to be done in an EV mixer at least, and 100 seconds 100 seconds to cook, and probably an equal amount to cool down. Yeah, that's going to take a little bit. But yeah, once we have the Alloy Blast Smelter, we can start to invest in some of these GT++ machines. And there is some huge benefits to making these machines over the single blocks. And we'll get into all of those once we actually have them. But yeah, right now I have a lot of crafting ahead of me. We basically need to get energy hatches, input buses, input hatches, make all of the alloys for the machines, cook all this vanadium gallium. It's going to be a lot of tedious preparation. But you know what, call me crazy, I'm actually looking forward to this grind. I think we should be able to craft everything with the exception of the maceration stack, since the casings for this thing take an insane amount of palladium and platinum, and that's not something we have right now. Plus the controller for this thing takes ZPM circuits. In fact, is there any other ones that take No, this is IV centrifuge here. The ore washer is also an IV machine, EV circuit. IV machine, EV circuit for the thermal refinery. Alright, so it's been around 10 minutes or so. It actually didn't take too long to get the first tiny amount of vanadium gallium, which allows us to craft the IV transformer. And we have used various transformers, like this one here, which is EV. And all of the basic transformers do a 1:4 or 4:1 conversion. We actually want to upgrade it to do 4:16. And fireworks. So we make insane voltage from these turbines here, right? Which goes into the battery buffer. And this thing outputs 1 amp per battery that you have in there. Because we have 4 batteries, we output 4 amps to this cable. But since this output cable is going to go quite a number of blocks in each direction, and there is cable loss to contend with, we are actually going to use this transformer in transform up mode. So we're converting from IV to LUV, like so. And this now becomes the output face. So now we're transporting LUV power around the base. And all of this should now actually be green cable, according to the rules we set up last episode. And since we're using HSSG cable already, we are able to support the 32,768 EU per tick that LUV demands. However, it's still only a flat 2 EU loss per block, even though we're now transporting 32,000 rather than the 8,192 that IV is. So we're losing much less power by transforming up to LUV and then transporting LUV power around. We just have to be super careful we do not connect these cables together now, which is all the more reason we should have them dyed. It does mean that we have an extra transformer to make at the other end when we power the machine, since it's very unlikely that we'll be powering any LUV machinery right now. But yeah, I think it's still well worth to avoid the cable loss. Now we just have a lot of crafting ahead of us, and Thumbcraft doesn't like that. Alright, so we have the Alloy Blast Smelter, awesome. Now let's use this to keep on crafting the rest of the machines we need for ore processing. So we have 7 multi-blocks to craft, right? Let's start with the thermal centrifuge. And for this, we are going to need red steel, which is sterling silver, bismuth bronze, black steel and regular steel. Sterling silver is copper silver and bismuth bronze is bismuth plus brass. The black steel and the regular steel we have in decent supply, so all of that went through the mixer for red steel dust and then into the EBF for ingots. It was a relatively fast recipe because of the overclock that we get from the coils and the EBF tier. Other than the red steel, we also require an IV machine, the Blaze Sweatshop T6350, and a material called talonite. This is the first one we made in the ABS with cobalt, chrome, phosphorus and molybdenum. So the thing about the ABS is that it produces the alloy in fluid form. So I connected a buffer tank to a fluid solidifier next to the machine, and that way we can use various different molds depending on what form we need the material in. It's really nice to have a solidifier next to the ABS. After that, we craft the controller using our Sweatshop T6350, and a minimum of 12 casings, and that is the thermal centrifuge off the list. Next up is the multi-block electrolyzer. And for this we need an IV single block electrolyzer, the so-called molecular disintegrator E4908, and a material called stellite. Cobalt, chrome, manganese and titanium. Fortunately the casings for this one is potent. This is a material we've been handling since the medium voltage age, so we actually had some on hand. Once we had the stellite, we put together the controller, and that was another machine off the list. It's not actually this fast when you're crafting it. Oh, how I wish it was. This took forever. But yeah, moving on here. So you guys remember the Lapitronic energy orbs? We need to craft one more for the process and array multi-block. Favorite machine in Gregtech, hands down. My favorite single block is the laser engraver, but if you include the multis, it's definitely the process and array. No question about it. And if you're unsure about the capability of these things, I'm really excited to show you, but for now, let's keep on crafting. Assuming we have the resources. This is breaking the bank. We are so broke doing this. But it's worth it, it's definitely worth it. Yeah, let's move on to the next multi-block, which is going to be the centrifuge. So this one is arguably the most expensive. Starting off with the controller, we need an IV molecular cyclone, 2 IV circuits, and then 2 different alloys this time. First one is Maraging Steel 250, Steel Dust, Molybdenum, Cobalt, Nickel and Titanium. Oh yeah, actually this is 3 alloys. Along with the Maraging Steel we also need Tumbaga. And then also Inconel 792, Nickel, Niobium, Nichrome and Aluminium. All of that went through the ABS, solidified into the relevant form. We once again crafted the machine controller, and a minimum of 18 casings. Easy, right? Oh, this is crazy to do in one segment, but we're gonna keep going. So I don't know exactly when this is gonna fit into this segment that we're doing here, but I am currently in the middle of crafting all this stuff. And as you guys have seen with that, there's a splitting creeper behind us right there, do you see that guy? As you guys have seen, we do need a decent amount of IV machine components and machines. So I thought we would actually open some loot bags. They have proven very fruitful for us before. I did take some time before the episode actually to make up some more fortune books. So this may or may not work out for us, but let's see how we go with opening some IV bags. So we have one, I believe we do have some unclaimed quest rewards, which should also yield IV bags. HSSG quest, the IV mixer quest, also the Alloy Blast Smelter quest. There's a choice reward between, I might actually leave this one. We may need some of these dusts, I'm not sure yet. IV assembling machine, let's take the IV loot bag. Okay, so that is 5 enchanted IV bags. Come on, Greg, save me some time here. Let's see. Oh, that's good. That's a good start. That is an extremely good start. What else? Oh, nice. More ender tanks. Some quantum eyes. These are not super useful. Thorium yttrium glass. We definitely need this, actually. RAM wafers. A sonarium battery. Wait, can we get sonarium out of this? Can we disassemble this? I don't think we can, right? I mean, it's pretty cool nonetheless. This is one of the best IV batteries. Yeah, data sticks, tungsten steel fluid pipe, and the 4 electric motors. So that only cost us 1 IV motor. Oh, that was so good. Okay, now back to the crafting. We have a lot more still to do. At least when I'm filming this. The next one is the ore washer. So technically we actually need 2 of these things. One to act as a chemical bath, the other one to act as an ore washer. But we are just going to craft one of these things for the sake of cost. And we'll substitute the chemical bath with just single blocks for now. But yeah, for the ore washing plant we need Grisium, another alloy, titanium, carbon, sulfur, lithium, potassium, and hydrogen gas. Oh boy. There's also some talonite used in the casings. This is also a pretty expensive machine given how much the materials cost. And then also for the controller we need a repurposed laundry washer i360. In other words, the IV ore washer. And then again we craft the controller, 6 to 8 minimum casings this time. But we do now have another machine off the list. But you know what, the longer I've been thinking about this project, the bigger this list gets. It just never seems to end on all the resources we need for this. So it's been a couple hours for me. I've been doing some work on actually the logic behind the ore processing system, which I think actually we're going to go into next episode. It makes more sense to put it at the beginning. And I also really don't want to rush the process. Ever since I started to share my experience through YouTube, I feel a certain sense of, I always feel like I'm rushed. I always feel like I'm rushing myself. And I've found often in the past that leads to situations that, I end up building things that I'm not happy with. Like this mess here, for example. Although this isn't so bad since this is obviously a temporary location. But the ore processing system is going to be in prime real estate back there. So maybe I'm being a little bit too overcautious, but or maybe indecisive. Speaking of indecisive, I don't know which way I'm going here. I'm looking for this chest right here. Yeah, so we're going to collect the miner right now, as I really would like to top up our tungstate supplies. Oh, here we go. This is so much more awesome with our actual rocket silo built now. Oh, this is so cool every single time. It still does take a while to get up here though in the tier 2 rocket. I believe the higher tier of rockets are actually faster to get into orbit. But yeah, let's see if this thing is finished. Also, that's a better bounce than last time. Last time it was like a 2-block bounce. It was horrible. Okay, where is this ore drill? I think I have waypoints turned off right now. It is on the minimap though, it should be right around here. Is it this? These blocks? Get rid of the skeletons first. What do we think? Is it finished? Out of fuel? Out of space, wow. Oh. Oh no. Well, it looks like we hit a lapis vein here. I didn't expect to see wait, was there lapis around? I guess there was here in the top corner. Oh well, at least we have plenty of ores to test out our new ore processing system. We have to look on the bright side, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge deal. There's an infinite amount of ores out there. And there is going to be way more than enough scheelite and tungstate mixed in amongst these chests for what we need. Oh, this is juicy, this is juicy. Alright, so we got the miner on us. Farewell, Deimos. I'm sure we will return at some point. Alright, so in terms of our progress, on phase 1 we're actually looking pretty decent. We've accounted for all the controllers and the machine casings for all the multi-blocks. I also did go ahead and craft the energy hatches for all the machines. We're going to run them all at EV. However, we unfortunately still do have a lot of crafting to do for phase 1. And if you guys have seen season 1 of the Let's Play for GTNH, things will be quite different actually to the way we filtered ore processing. And there's going to be a much bigger reliance on applied energistics. That's exactly what I'm looking for right there. Wait, actually, we have a few unclaimed here. Alright, 4 more. Oh, I see crafting cards. That's no bueno. 24 crafting cards. Oh, that is so nice. 16k item storage cells. That is exactly what we need. Yeah, I was just about to say we need a way to store items on the input side and also on the output side once they're all processed. And we're actually just going to send them all back to main storage. So I was actually intending on crafting more drive space for this, which we probably will still do, but this will actually get us started. These crafting cards though. Yeah, this episode has been so much crafting. I thought I would take a little bit of a break. And what you're about to see here is a very preliminary stage of construction. Oh yeah, and we're also in a creative copy of the world. This is not the server. We're not just in creative mode here. I mean, we are, but yeah, not on the world we play on. So yeah, you guys know the importance of planning and building your walkways first. So that is what we started with here. And this goes down to the level where our ore processing is going to be. Still very, very underdeveloped at this point, but I have a pretty good idea in my head about what I want this place to look like. And with this build, we're going to make sure it works first before we start to add all the details. So we have the staircase mirrored on both sides, and then here leads out to the main walkway where the rotors are. And this will be the space we place all of the machines we just crafted. I have a basic layout already penciled in. Some things may change, but I tried to order them actually in what I think we would need to expand. An expansion with this was a big concern of mine. I want room to expand this thing. So the processes in which I don't think we're going to need too many of, like the chemical baths, the electrolyzers, the sifters, we may need 1 or 2 of these, but I think we can actually stack them. And then also the ore washers is in the front here. Or yeah, I guess these are simple washers. These things, I don't think we need as many as we would, say for example, the thermal refineries. I can see us adding like 10 or 12 of these things eventually. Same with the ore washing plant, same with the centrifuge, and same with the processing array. Or the maceration stack when we eventually swap it out. All of these can be infinitely expanded this way. And also with this design, I want to outsource the filters. So what do I mean by that? Well, I want the filters to be somewhere in a place where we don't have to move in the future. Let's say for example we want to switch the position of the sifting machine and the centrifuge. Just as an example, I don't want to have to sit here and move all of the filters that we're about to set on the storage buses. I want all the filtering to be in a central location, and then with the items pre-filtered, we send those to the machine. And then from the machine, this black line here is going to be sent back into main storage, which is going to go back to our drives. This probably doesn't make sense, don't worry. I'm going to explain it all next episode. But this all factors into the design of the room. And I had this really cool idea of actually colouring all the cables, which I don't think we're going to actually be able to craft because of the cost. Like, all of the smart cable is going to get very expensive, but it's going to look super awesome when we have all this colour-coded, right? Pretty much 1 colour per machine type. So yeah, I'm thinking here, the ender chest here, which is broken now, The ender chest here is going to be the output of the miner. So let's say we set up the miner on Mars. We color code that to this ender chest. It's going to be pulled into the system. Then we set all the filters. All of these will eventually be interfaces. And that's going to go on subnets to all of the different machines, where it's going to be processed, put back into another interface here, or maybe an ME output bus, and then sent back to storage. This is going to be awesome. But the reason I'm showing you this as well, if you guys spot anything immediately obvious with this, then do let me know in the comments. But I have been doing some more testing in a separate world, which I'm going to show you guys next episode when we go into detail on this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to work out well for us and is not going to bottleneck us in the future. So the priority right now is trying to get all the basic dimensions in place, and also think about how we're going to wire all this. So the power cable right now from the rotors is right here, and this is on the same level as the catwalk. So my original idea was just to send the HSSG cable on this level, but then I thought, wait a second, these are going to be color coded, and I don't want to sacrifice the color coding for the sake of aesthetics. A green cable through the middle of the room might not look too hot. Like, it kind of looks a little bit out of place, especially if we have to send these like down to the machines to actually power them. Down to energy hatches down here. I kind of like the idea of keeping the cables exposed, but I'm honestly not too sure about that. I think it might look a little bit too funky. We might send them down the pillars and then send them through the same wiring tunnel as the AE cable. I still have to decide on that, but yeah. The other thing is where we're going to lead this path here. So this currently leads to nothing, but if we dig straight up here, we're going to find that we actually run into a massive lag spike. And also somewhere here should be... Wait a second. No, this is a cave. Wait. Oh, there we go. I was just a little bit too far. Yeah, this leads straight up to this intersection, which we're all familiar with. I may actually add a little staircase somehow and try and connect the two rooms together. This does feel a little bit isolated from the rest of the base, but yeah, we still have all of the northern side of the valley. Like, we pretty much haven't touched any of the space up here. And then the final thing I was thinking about was actually opening up this wall. It might be pretty cool if we, say for example, removed these blocks here. And maybe we just like cut a slice through the valley just to make it feel a little bit more connected. I kind of like the feel of that, honestly. Oh yeah, this could be pretty awesome. I mean, we would add probably the supports back in and maybe keep these just to keep them as a consistent concrete pillar. I do like the idea of opening up this space though. But those are details which we will add later on. For now, we are going to take a schematic of this thing because we have a lot of digging to do in survival. First corner up here. Second corner is going to be... Actually, we want to include that staircase that we have on the opposite side, right? Over here. This is a perfect place for a staircase as well. I like it. Yeah, we want to make sure we include all this in the schematic. And we'll have to go down to a low Y level. I think the lowest point down there is like Y10. Y3 should cover us. And second point here. We'll call it ore processing V1. And it appears the blast furnaces have turned off. We're back in the main world here, but does that mean they're finished? Oh yeah, look at that. I did start to process down some more of the tungsten. We are going to need it for some more transformers for the ore processing system. I have also been crafting a whole bunch more applied energistics material, mainly cable, which we're going to need a lot of here. Yeah, I also made up some more interfaces, some storage buses, reservoirs, cables. I'm sure we're going to be missing quite a lot here. And the other thing we're missing is LV machines. Believe it or not, we are actually going to use LV machines in this setup. And we're actually going to craft 64 LV macerators. Oh yes, we're in IV and we are using LV machines. Yeah, so we are going to need basic macerator. Well, any tier of macerator can work, but the basic is the cheapest to craft. I hope we have all this stuff. Let's put in only a stack of LV machines and shift click. Oh, come on, we can only craft one? We got one. Okay, apparently I was not prepared enough. We need some more electric motors. We do have the circuits though for it, right? Yeah, we have 120 circuits. Wait, even that's not enough. We're going to be a few circuits short. We can craft some more of these though. And yeah, I guess we're going to need 2 stacks of motors. There's 1 stack. And 5. We're short some copper. Oh, wait. We have some in our system already. Okay, please. That's only 10. We're short 10 cable. Oh, we got a quest for it. Wait, I'm sure I was quoting some more tin cable through here. Wasn't I? Yes, I was. Perfect. This is also something we have to automate soon. Okay, that's the second stack of motors. Now we can craft a stack of pistons. Right? That's 44. We're short some steel plates. We should have steel plates. This has basically been my whole day. Well, actually 3 days of crafting to get this episode done. It's just me running back and forward, picking up stuff from the machines. Like, it's probably quite difficult to imagine just how much time I've spent crafting these machines right here. In fact, what did we start the episode on? 770? And we're on 789? Yeah, that is a very long time. Just in these last 20 minutes, or 30 minutes that you guys have seen. Okay, so 64 motors. And now we should be able to collect 63 more basic macerators, right? 22. More tin cable. Alright, I'll make those up between episodes. But yeah, we need these for the processing arrays. Since the processing array is just basically a shell of a machine, you have to fill this with machines for it to run. Anyways, yeah, that schematic we made, we're going to import. And hopefully we got everything when we made the schematic. Alright, and this should be all lined up. And we're going to see the marks where we have to dig out. Yep. It's gonna be a lot of digging. Right now, this is just solid. And even under here, like all of this stuff under here is just solid. Here. I have got a lot of digging to do before next episode. And yeah, I'm very excited to put all this stuff together, finally. But we are going to wrap up the episode right here. We made good progress on phase 1. Phase 2, I'm going to work on between episodes. I'm going to try to get all of this dug out. And we will come back in the next episode ready to set up ore processing. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next episode of New Horizons.